I had breakfast with the Buddha, had been wanting to connect. Can't believe we lost the last election, my karma's still upset. Said, before you get all depressing, have you decided what you're gonna get? I said, there's so many good options, guess that's another first world problem. I know you do communal farming, maybe something from the garden? Me, I need something familiar to calm my spirit and help my chakras to reset. The waitress came to take our order, gold hair streaked in blue and red. Have you had a chance to read the menu, or do you need another second? Even though I thought I knew, her disarming eyes made me soon forget. I stared back at the menu to refocus my attention. It said love and omelet served all day, cocktails at 11. The Buddha said he'd just have jasmine tea. I said black coffee, tacos, and regrets. After reciting back our order, the waitress started to reflect. I used to think the future was just a concept my mother had invented to convince my younger brother, an absent father, to accept it. But then one day I saw each moment expands in all directions, even as prevailing culture grows more absorbed in its own reflection. And I came around to realize each decision has its consequences. Caused an awkward silence as I paused to take a breath, an appreciation for self-reliance, but the Buddha was not impressed. He said, I saw you submit our order, but can you confirm they got the message? Embroidered patch upon her sweater said her name was Juliet. She smiled and flashed a peace sign as the Buddha became restless. Said, sit tight for a moment while I go check on other guests. Buddha joined his hands and pressed them lightly against his chest. Said, I've come down from the mountain to engage this emptiness that so many in my profession say is behind today's upheaval and unrest. I just found stillness in the river when I got your text. Seemed a good excuse to run some errands and catch up with an old friend. So tell me why you're so disheveled and became caught up in this mess. I said, we can only blame ourselves for how it came to this. The prosecutor and the criminal, you'd think the stage was set. We'd seen this movie all before, but how soon we forget. A pillar of corruption now runs free of house arrest, surrounds himself with loyalists of unfathomable ignorance, and they won't stop or be satisfied until even our dreams are repossessed. Buddha sat there motionless. I thought he might be dead. When Juliet came with our order, he spoke to her instead. Said discussing politics at the table is like taking a loaded gun to bed. We both became surprised to see the Buddha so offended. Her first thought was to apologize. The wait was longer than expected. He draped his robe across his chair and asked directions to the restrooms. I smiled into her light in hopes our eyes might meet. She gave details of my order without skipping a beat. Said it's only $3 more for lettuce, rice, and beans. There's jalapeno and habanero and a trio of salsas, chips and guacamole, extra tortillas if you want some. But I brought you a slice of lime, chopped onions, and cilantro. To stem misunderstanding, I made an alternate attempt. It has less to do with politics and more with common sense. The new normal is upside down, stupidity celebrated, and ignorance is bliss. I turned and found the Buddha near the restroom with his phone. After days beneath the fig tree, he now prefers not to be alone. Through a window to the garden, I saw a statue and a fountain made of stone. The Buddha returned to our table and poured hot water on his tea. Juliet said, "I hope you both won't mind if I sit to read the leaves." I'm not sure I believe it, but it's interesting, the kinds of things you see. The Buddha seemed reluctant to see where all this might lead. She only read them upside down, so she sat down next to me. Said, "Once gathered in the west, tea leaves rarely drift back to the east." I said, "Yes, that sounds like the world we're living in. Distraction from without makes it hard to look within." I turned to Juliet, but she was still looking straight at him. The Buddha said, "It's as if you're seeing right through me. As commerce infiltrates sacred space, the forecast grows gloomy. It's important now more than ever we keep our internal candles lit." The Buddha said I must be going, as the mountaintop is distant. My deepest peace is the hour I sleep in company of crickets. I've calls to make before I meditate, to try and rediscover contentment. These days I don't dare even contemplate transcendence. My lawyer tends to oversleep and my accountant makes bad investments. But they called to say my line of ties and bedsheet designs will be on shelves before next Christmas. I still believe in people's hearts, there's kindness and respect. But in times of deep division, the bigger picture is neglected. And anti-social media serves as a negativity echo chamber. In the end, there's no way to compensate this unprecedented burden. The one thing that gives me hope is the future is uncertain. The Buddha crawled back beneath his robe, then disappeared behind a curtain. Juliet finally said, "It's come to the end of my shift. Today brought more questions than answers, but it was certainly auspicious. Seems our modern world's a tangled web, and each of us complicit. Although some misunderstand, my demeanor is apathetic. Nothing's further from the truth. I'm broken by this tragic epic, but won't be held responsible for an entire country's moral deficit." I said, "We may both be dreaming of a world with new dimensions." Did she have time for a drink? No, but thank you for suggesting. So I finished my food, along with 2 shots of tequila in apprehension. She said, "It's been a lovely visit. Please come back again. On Tuesdays, all tacos except shrimp are only 99 cents, plus $3 margaritas, and my boyfriend is the bartender." I said, "Yes, that all sounds fantastic. I'll be back January 21st for more tacos and more regrets."